This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, it's October 30th, Thursday, October 30th. That means one day to Halloween and 2 days to everything free at Walmart Day. It's going to be a crazy weekend here in the United States, and 4 days till we elect a Marxist, Muslim, fanatic, radical, lunatic as mayor of New York City. We're going to get one in Minneapolis, too. That's going to be wild. We'll get to that. We'll get to the latest on Kami Mamdani, who's going to win. I'm not going to pretend he's not. His poll numbers, he has the biggest lead of a mayoral candidate in New York City in recorded history. He's up 17 points. It doesn't matter if Curtis Sliwa pulls out. It doesn't matter if Cuomo pulls out. He's going to win. It's going to happen. Get ready. We'll get to that, and we will get to the latest backfire for Democrats. Yes, the shutdown, which has been going on for 30 days, the Schumer shutdown, the Democrat shutdown, has done us all a great service. It has exposed the scandal that is our SNAP program, food stamps. We are learning a lot about just why this program exists, just how out of control it is, just how many people are living off the government. Those are called Democrats. That is their base, and they are fighting hard to protect their base. People who don't work, who don't earn, who don't care, who just sit back and wait for them to reload the EBT card. Those people aren't happy right now, and they're going to be real unhappy in 2 days when their card is not reloaded. And who knows, maybe some of them will have to go out and get a job. We'll get to that, but I have to talk about last night, sitting back, watching things unfold. And I said, I know I've said this 1,000 times in the last 10 months, but it was never more apparent. It was never more obvious than last night. We have a president. We have a vice president. We didn't have a president. We didn't have a vice president for 4 years with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We're learning more every day about just how incapacitated Joe Biden was, just how out of the loop the commander-in-chief was, and just who was running the country. We'll get to the auto pen scandal, which is a massive scandal. I hope people are paying attention, because Joe Biden was not running the country. Joe Biden was barely involved in the decisions that were made on behalf of the executive branch. We're learning more every day about who was calling the shots. A small cabal of radicals. The previous Joe Biden, previous to taking the office, was, a moderate, regular Joe. Then he became a radical. You know why? Because he wasn't even involved in the decisions. The people around him were the radicals. And among the people making the decisions was his crackhead son. Yes, that is a huge scandal. But back to last night. I'm sitting back watching J.D. Vance at the University of Mississippi at Ole Miss. He hosted a turning point event where more than half the student body showed up in the arena. More than, I believe, 10,000 people in the arena, another 5,000 outside. Total student bodies, 27,000. And it was just an incredible event. We've seen Erica Kirk before. She was amazing. We've seen the crowd, real energy. But the thing that blew me away is the vice president took the stage and spoke for 1 hour and 6 minutes. He took unscripted questions from the audience. Step up, ask a question. He had no teleprompter, no script. He winged it. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, he is going to be so good as president. Our 48th president is going to be spectacular. Cannot wait. At the same time, we were sitting back and watching Donald Trump enter a high-stakes meeting with Xi Jinping. They shook hands for the cameras. They said a few words. They went into this meeting, stared at each other across the table. And I'm watching them thinking, wow, this is what it's like to have a president. This is what it's like to have a leader who's out there on the world stage, looking out for America's interest, making deals that benefit America. Now, we don't have all the details. I don't think anything. There's no signature to paper yet. But when it was over, Donald Trump, of course, said it was a big success. Scott Bessent laid out some of the issues they worked out and said China's going to start buying massive amounts of American soybean. They set up an in-person meeting. Trump's going to go to China in the spring, and then Xi Jinping is going to come to the United States. None of this would have happened if Democrats got their way on November 5th last year. None of it would have happened if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris had prevailed. If 75 million Americans got their way and Trump lost, we wouldn't have a deal. We wouldn't have peace. We wouldn't have a soaring stock market. We wouldn't have these really effective tariffs. We wouldn't have a closed border. We wouldn't have law and order in American cities. It's hard to believe this was even a debate, a discussion. Hard to believe that people still, these no king's fools and these idiots who shut down the government, these Democrats, that they wanted more of what we had the previous 4 years. I'm sorry. You have to just give it up. You have to admit that you failed the country. You nominated and elected a vegetable for 4 years who did his best to destroy the country in every way. Open border, wars around the world, soaring inflation. His presidency was a stain on this country, and we couldn't get rid of him fast enough. And thank God we did, because we saw a real president. You can hate him all you want. I think this deal, I think these many deals he made on this trip, this five different countries, this whirlwind trip to Asia, I think it benefits us. It benefits this country. And I think there is hope for the union. I know we're electing a communist in New York City. I know we're electing a Muslim fanatic who can barely speak English in Minneapolis, but the White House is in good hands. Let's start with Trump. Trump comes out of this meeting and he's just so comfortable in this situation. High pressure, all eyes on him. He knows how to schmooze. He knows how to shake hands. He knows how to ingratiate himself with his adversary. He loves it. This is him in his element, making deals, kissing up to the guy he's across the table from, telling him he's wonderful and everyone's great, and then making a deal for this country. And you walk out of this and you say, that's what we want. We want a guy who can do this, who can make a deal that benefits us, who's not really concerned about, political implications. He's looking at what works for us, what works for the country. I mean, obviously that's the pillar of his agenda. What is best for us? There's not a globalist bone in his body. He's not there worried about climate change, worried about DEI. He's just saying what's best for American farmers, American workers, the American economy. He comes out of the meeting and you're not sure how it went because Xi Jinping doesn't give anything away. They were asking him questions during the little photo op. He didn't answer any of them. He didn't talk. He didn't appear to show any emotion or give anything away. It must be difficult, especially with the language barrier, to deal with a man like that, a tyrant, a communist, a real authoritarian. But Trump is just the guy to do it. Again, he might offend you sometimes. He might be vulgar. He might go off on some bizarre tangent on Truth Social. But this is what he does best. Makes deals which are good for America. Here he is on the plane, on the way home after this trip, which I don't know when he slept. I mean, I was watching it, there was 12-hour time difference. He was up, he was talking to the media, making appearances. The South Koreans gave him a crown. Among the other gifts, they gave him a crown, which was just perfect. I know, they know what was going on in this country, And they were trolling you, Democrats. They were mocking you. He said he was thinking of putting it on. He didn't put it on. He should have put it on. But he comes home with lots of new deals and a crown. Here he is giving his wrap-up of the 1 hour and 30-minute meeting with Xi Jinping. Go ahead.
But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. I think it was a 12. I think very importantly, just the whole relationship is very, very important. And I think it was really good.
Especially coming on the heels of the successful trip. We're in Malaysia. You signed a peace deal for Cambodia and Thailand. Critical mineral deals with all our allies.
So many successful meetings. Right? And so many meetings great for our country with literally hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars have come into our country over the last 4 days, represented by this meeting. But trillions of dollars, where Toyota is going to build plants, $10 billion worth of plants. And, I could go over so many different companies coming in. They're pouring money into the United States.
A 12 out of 10. I'm not sure. We don't know. Obviously, his underlings, his aides, have to work out all the details, but it sounds like it went pretty well. While this was going on, his successor, the 48th president, was at Ole Miss again, an hour, off the cuff. I realized that Kamala Harris is a special kind of dunce who is dumb and inarticulate and ineffective and incapable of even answering a question. Hell, she's on a book tour trying to sell a book and she can't even answer a question. She was just the worst we've ever seen at this. But we've seen some bad ones. Obviously, Joe Biden was vice president. He was an inarticulate moron most of the time. Dan Quayle, Dick Cheney, who was just evil. We've seen some pretty inept vice presidents. Well, that has changed. We have a guy here who is going to be ready on day one, who's smart, who's fearless. He'll go in and just say, what do you got? This is how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to have someone up there who can take a question, who can have a conversation, who can defend his positions and his principles without worrying. What's it going to sound like? What am I going to say? This appearance, this hour-long appearance, and by the way, most of the people in the crowd, all the people in the crowd were big MAGA people, big, Charlie Kirk fans, Christians, Republicans, conservatives. But the questions came from all directions. I mean, there were people who waited in line to ask questions about abortion and immigration. It was not all set up with the way it always was with Biden and Harris, to have friendly questions that he knew in advance. He just said, what do you got? This is how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to have someone smart enough, capable enough, confident enough to stand up there and defend his positions. This should not be the exception to the rule, but it is. It is. Most politicians at every level couldn't do this, wouldn't do this. They would be afraid to do this. He could have made this appearance, made a speech, and walked off the stage and headed back to D.C. He said, no, that's not what Charlie did. Charlie took questions. Charlie debated. Charlie was, throughout his life, he was fearless in these situations. And he said, I'm going to honor Charlie. I'm going to take questions. I'm going to debate, argue. I'm going to take on all comers. And that's what he did. And I tell you, if you watch this, if you saw any of this, you said, he's going to be a great president. He's ready. I know he's only 40 or 41. He could do the job today. So all those people, all those no kings, a-holes, all those lunatics that want Trump dead, this is what you get. If you get your wish, if you finally succeed in taking Trump out, this is what you get. J.D. Vance, let's listen to a little.
Pushing out policies that hurt us. And these policies are not even solving the problems. These policies are just creating chaos.
Ma'am. Okay, so again, I'm gonna finish answering the question, and then if I've answered all 9 of your questions in less than 15 minutes, then we can keep on going. We got to have a little fun, right? So here's the thing. I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have, I'll go and finish. We cannot have an immigration policy where what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
it went on for an hour. There were all kinds of hostile questions. There were friendly ones too. There were, MAGA people, and he just winged it. He dropped a couple of swear words. He made a couple of jokes. He talked about his faith, and he was asked about his wife. He says, she's Hindu, you're Catholic. How does that work? Some gotcha question. He said, she comes to church with me. We talk about it. We share our feelings, and it works. And he just didn't back down from anything. You know what you're going to get in 3.5 years, Democrats? You're going to get a guy who is more articulate than Donald Trump, who is 40 years younger, who's ready to do 2 terms, who doesn't have any scandals. You're not going to impeach him. You're not going to indict him. You're not going to arrest him. You're not going to be able to. You're going to have a guy who hits the ground running. If you're a Democrat and you're, just consumed with Trump hatred, you better think twice. I mean, he could keel over today, and he's 79, and that's what you get. You get J.D. Vance, and he's your worst nightmare. He's going to be very effective. He's very smart, and he's got a great story, as we know. He's came up hard, grew up dirt poor, worked, joined the Marines, went to Yale Law. I mean, he's just going to be great. I can't tell you how good it feels to know he's waiting in the wings and not Dan Quayle or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. All right, it is day 30 of the Democrat shutdown, and I'll say it again. I don't think they thought this through. We've seen a lot of things backfire on Democrats. Obviously, the lawfare against Trump backfired bigly. The attempts to bankrupt him, to put him in prison for the rest of his life with made-up criminal charges and civil suits and rape charges, it all blew up in their faces. We got Trump 2.0, more motivated than ever. It hasn't worked out the way they had hoped. Well, they decided 30 days ago to shut down the government in an effort, their never-ending effort, to take care of their base, which consists of illegal aliens. That's what's most important to them. They wanted to continue to give Medicaid to illegal aliens. They wanted also to put back in the budget all kinds of the ridiculous programs, the condoms in Gaza and the Sesame Street in Iraq. They wanted all that back in the budget. Well, that clearly was a line that Republicans weren't going to cross. It's not going to happen. They knew it wasn't going to happen. They knew that the government would shut down. They knew the Republicans would hold firm, at least for a while. And they knew, or at least they thought, they miscalculated. They thought the media would carry their water. They thought the media would do what they always do, blame Republicans. They tried. They failed. There's been many shutdowns. This is the first time I can remember where the public, the people, have woken up, have opened their eyes and realized it is a Democrat shutdown. And it's not that complicated. I know Democrats and all the media and Jessica Tarlov and all these say, oh, they control all 3 branches. Obviously, it's their shutdown. Well, people are dumb, but they're not that dumb. Liz Warren, Ed Markey, they lie every day, and it's failing. It's not working. People know that Democrats voted 13 times against opening the government up, voted 13 times against paying the military, against paying TSA, against SNAP, against food stamps. They've done that 13 times. They'll continue to do that. And there's no way out at this point for Chuck Schumer and Democrats. They have to, at some point, if they want their base, which is food stamp recipients, they're important illegal aliens on food stamps. If they want them to continue to get their free money, they have to open up the government. They have to wave the white flag. They have no other choice because it's just not working out. Get Harry Anton. They thought it would be like other shutdowns. They'd blame Republicans, blame Trump. Didn't matter who voted for what. The details didn't matter. If the government shut down, it must be the Republicans. That didn't happen. And I have to give credit to Mike Johnson and John Thune and the Republicans. They have held firm. There's some squishes in the ranks, obviously. There's some pathetic rhinos and the Lisa Murkowskis and Susan Collinses, but for the most part, they have held firm. They've held their ground, and they have pointed out at every turn, it's not them, it's the Democrats. And for once, the public seems to be understanding that this is not the Republicans' fault. Here's wacky Harry Anton explaining the Republicans' numbers have gone up over the last 30 days with the government shutdown. Go ahead.
It hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, and electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
Now, we say their position is getting better. With whom?
Yeah, okay, with whom? So I think it's two groups that it's so important to keep an eye on. All right, changing the Republican Congress's net approval rating versus pre-shutdown. It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents, it's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base, but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle, but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress. So again, what's the electoral reason that Republicans would give in at this point?
And Democrats.
There you go. Their numbers have gone up dramatically. 8 points among independents during the 1 month shutdown. People are waking up. They know who is responsible for this. And Democrats are in a real bad spot. They have no easy way out. They have no way to save face. And their base is threatening to loot, steal, shoplift if they don't get their food stamps beginning Saturday. This could get ugly. We're going to get to that. We're going to, again, the biggest backfire ever was the Democrats doing this and waking people up to the scandal that is the food stamp program, the SNAP program. People are paying attention for a change, and they're realizing it is one big scam. We have the numbers. I'm the same way. I didn't realize what a scandal this was, what a scam this was, but we are learning, and we'll get to that. And the latest on Kami Mandami. He's not an American. He's not. I mean, he might have citizenship, but this is from mom. His own mother says he doesn't consider himself American. That's your next mayor of New York City. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me. If
there's something all of us can believe in, it's hard work, self-reliance, and showing up for the people who count on us. You know, kind of like President Trump, just going hard 24/7. The difference is Donald Trump doesn't need sleep. You do. I do. It's the most important thing to good health. I was in a horrible cycle that had no end in sight. I knew I had to find something to break me free of that cycle. That's when I found Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-based ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, and melatonin. Here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. Try their best-selling dream powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. So with my discount code Gerry, G-E-R-R-Y, you can get the best-selling dream powder for just $39. Go to shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry for up to 40% off. In 2 days, the freebies run dry. The food stamps, the EBT cards will not be reloaded. And there are lots of people who are ready to riot. They're telling you that. They're on TikTok, with their iPhone 17s and their tattoos and their jewelry, and they're laying in their beds telling you, you better reload my EBT card or there will be trouble. We've played you some of these people. And to me, there's one thing that is truly striking about this moment. It's the lack of gratitude. I mean, there are people living large off the government, not working, not paying for anything. And they're saying, you better keep giving me freebies or I'm going to commit crimes. I'm going to cause trouble. There's nobody out there saying, thank you. We've lost any sense of gratitude in this country. Listen, we'll get to Mamdani. Talk about lack of gratitude. There's nobody, not him, not his family, not any of the people around him, who ever show any gratitude for this country. It's really despicable what we're living through, this sense of entitlement from politicians, from immigrants, from food stamp recipients, from everybody who's taking, not making, they're just taking. And they never stop to thank this country, never stop to thank the people footing the bill. That is what jumps out at you when you see all these videos, when you hear from all these people. And we'll get to Mamdani, but did you know how big the food stamp, the SNAP program was? Did you know how many foreigners were on it? How many illegal aliens were on it? Did you know how many people on food stamps are obese? Did you know any of this? Because I didn't. It took the Democrat shutdown to shine the light on this, expose this, and I think a lot of people are really pissed right now. They did. I mean, we knew there was some, welfare recipients who were scamming the system. Did you know what the level of the corruption was in this? I'll go over some of the numbers. Here's a graph we played the other day. Showed the other day. I couldn't believe it was real. It's amazing. This is the number of foreigners on food stamps. Afghan refugees, 45% on food stamps. Somalian, 42% of Somalians. That's all of Ilhan Omar's voters. All of the people who are going to vote for this jihadist for mayor of Minneapolis. They're all on the dole, or half. Iraqis, 35%. Haitians, 23%. I didn't know they were eligible. And maybe they're not, but they're all collecting welfare. You are working hard, paying your taxes. So half of illegal, 52%. 54%. I got all the numbers here. Of illegal immigrants are on some form of public benefit. Illegal immigrants break our law, came here legally, and they just immediately start collecting. It's not supposed to work that way. I mean, I knew there were a lot of scammers. I didn't know how many were illegal. It's truly incredible. Get that clip of this group who helps African immigrants. You know how many African immigrants who use this, who go through this agency are on the dole? Almost all of them. Listen to this.
Exploring all options, African Immigrant Family Services says that more than 90% of the families they help rely on food assistance.
90% of families they help are on food assistance. So 90% of people who came here from Africa Just sign up and immediately start collecting. 90%. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Let's go over some more. Check this out. In 1970, there were 4 million people on SNAP when it started. Now there are 42 million. 4 million to 42 million. Hell, in 2000, not that long ago, 17 million on food stamps. Now, again, 42 million. It was a $1 billion program. Now it's $100 billion a year. Why? Because of immigrants, illegal immigrants, because Joe Biden flooded the country with 15 million illegals, many of whom immediately signed up for free money. That's only part of it, by the way. The fact that it's being scammed, being used by illegal aliens. It's a failed program on every level. The people on food stamps buy more junk food than people not on food stamps. People on food stamps are more obese and overweight. 52% of the women on food stamps are obese. More than 70% are obese or overweight. They're allowed to buy junk food. There was a push a few months ago to stop allowing them to buy junk food. The number one item they purchase is sugary soda, is Coke, Dr. Pepper, orange soda. That's the number one item. They're allowed to buy, Doritos and Uncrustables and Hostess Twinkies. They're allowed to buy candy with your money. Why? Why should that be allowed? Why? Is there an argument for it other than the fact that Coca-Cola makes 40%? Is that right? 40% of its revenue is from food stamps. They all buy junk and they all get fat on us. Why? Why wouldn't you have? They're allowed to use their food stamps for DoorDash and Uber Eats. Why? So they don't have to get off the couch? How did we get to this point? And why don't we fix it? Is that asking too much? How about tomorrow, Saturday, we start all over. Everybody who wants food stamps must reapply. They must be vetted. They must show that they need this, that they're not scamming us. How about this? They get drug tested. They get health checkup. You're obese? Okay, no more junk food on us. You no longer get to buy candy on the taxpayer. Does anyone have a problem with that? Is that cruel? I know Democrats will kick and scream, but this just makes no sense. And again, we thank the Democrats for bringing it to our attention. All right. Here's an immigrant from Iraq. I believe he's Iraqi, goes before the city council to explain how he can't live without food stamps, without handouts. I would say he's 50 years old, maybe, appears pretty healthy. He doesn't appear to be obese. He can't live. If he can't get food stamps, he can't stay in this country. This is the personification of someone who has this sense of entitlement. Yeah, I'm from somewhere else. I come here. You must give me money for me to live. I love when Democrats, and you hear AOC screaming about Irish people escaping the famine, Jewish people escaping the Holocaust, all the different groups. They didn't come here with their palms out. They came here to work. This guy, he's not here to work. He's here to sit back and let you pay his bills. Listen to this.
Without the government support, I cannot stay maybe a month or 2 months.
Pima County Chairman Rex Scott told News for Tucson he's deeply concerned about the impact on local refugees and said
he can't stay in this country if we don't give him money. If we don't take your money and give it to him, a perfectly fit middle-aged man. I got an idea, dude. Work. Get a job. There's plenty of jobs. He could get a job today. That guy could go out and find a job driving an Uber, working in a restaurant today. But why? Democrats will just give them money. This has to end. This we're all seeing now. We're all getting a good look behind the curtain at what a scam this is. We are being ripped off by millions of people, many of them American, many are not. This should end. As soon as before this shutdown ends, Republicans should say, we're going to audit this whole system, this whole scam they're running on us, and it has to end. Again, thank you to Democrats for shutting down the government and waking us up. But I could go through numbers like this all day. The number of people, immigrants, illegal aliens signed up. There are people, we pay people, NGOs, to get them on the dole. Here you go. Fill this out, sign this, and the checks start coming. And Saturday, the checks, I hope the shutdown lasts because I want to see the reaction. I mean, I'm not going to Walmart that day. I'm not going near Walmart that day. But they're saying, if you don't give me money, I'm going to shoplift. I'm going to steal. That's the kind of entitlement. That's the sense of entitlement we have imbued in these people. It's truly outrageous. And we wouldn't know any of it if Democrats hadn't shut down the government. So we can thank them for that. I have so much more to get to. We got to get to this auto pen scandal, which is just wild. And the latest on Kami Mandami. His mom says he's not American. And I can tell you this, the guy who's going to be mayor of Minneapolis, we'll get to him. He is not American at all. I don't care if he has his citizenship. He has no interest in looking out for Americans. He's here to fight hard for Somalia. Yes, in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, the number one priority of the next mayor is Somalia. We'll show you that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla that is riding on top of a T-Rex? Confidence. That's what you get. Pure confidence. The kind of confidence that you really need in the bedroom for that next level laser wolf riding a raptor in a Lamborghini through outer space type of experience. That's where Ruziet Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a confidence game changer. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula to help you get hard and go the distance. Plus, effects last up to 36 hours, which means you can feel confident all day and night and then some into the next day, too. Getting started is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online at Ruziet.com. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Ruziet.com and use promo code Newsmax for 15% off your first order. That's Ruziet.com, code Newsmax. Make sure to use my code so they know we sent you. All right, we're 5 days away from the financial capital of the United States and the world being taken over by a Muslim fanatic communist. His lead is, I hate to break it to you, insurmountable. Doesn't matter if Curtis Leawood pulls out. Give me that video of somebody who's really supportive of Kami Mamdani at a demonstration yesterday. This is who is really happy about the next mayor of New York City, a Palestinian protester with a Palestinian flag, a keffiyeh. It's in New York City. And a suicide bomb, a vest. It's not real, but here he is. He's looking for trouble. He's pushing people. He's screaming about free Palestine. And he has a pretend suicide vest on. That guy is going to be really happy on Tuesday when his fellow Muslim extremist wins the mayor's race in New York City. Those people.
I think the craziest thing about that is, how did he not get shot by police?
Are you kidding me? It's his First Amendment right. That guy, look at him right there. He put that together at home. A suicide vest. Got the Palestinian flag, the keffiyeh, the whole deal. Got a whole group of people on his side. And they are all going to be elated, ecstatic on Tuesday when their fellow Muslim extremist, a guy who hates Jews, hates America, hates capitalism, is elected mayor of New York City. I can't say it enough. This is a five-alarm moment. We have lost our minds. We have lost our biggest city. We're going to see people pushing for Sharia law. We're going to see the Hamas flags waving. We're going to see no-go zones. His first order of business is getting rid of the gang database, which is vital for NYPD to track gang members. He wants that out. He's on the side of the gangs. He's on the side of the criminals, including that guy with the suicide vest. And he doesn't give a damn about America. He doesn't have any pride in America. He has no gratitude. We've given him everything. We've given his whole worthless family everything, and they still hate us. Here's from the New York Post today. Zoran Mamdani's filmmaker mom described the socialist mayoral frontrunner as, quote, not an American at all in a newly surfaced interview about his Indian roots. His mother, Meera Nair, an Oscar-nominated filmmaker. Again, this kid, this guy, this punk, is the ultimate Nippo baby. Never worked a day in his life. His father, again, another America-hating radical, is a professor at Columbia, and his mother is a filmmaker. And he proudly said his mother only cast white people as waiters and the help in her movies. She's a racist. She's a radical. She says, here's the quote, he's a total desi. That's referring to a term used in Hindu to describe those of Indian descent. And she says, we are not Ferings at all. He is very much us. He's not an American at all. He was born in Uganda, raised in India and America. He's at home in many places. He thinks of himself as a Ugandan, as an Indian. Apparently, a Farang is a slur referring to outsiders, Americans. And he's not one of those at all. He's not a foreigner. He's a Ugandan. He's an Indian, says his mother. And his father, of course, says suicide bombers, like that guy was pretending to be, suicide bombers are legitimate soldiers in war. He says Hitler learned how to do a genocide from Abe Lincoln. That guy's going to be so happy Tuesday. His son's going to be mayor. He's going to have a open door in City Hall. That's happening Tuesday. Hard to believe. And again, people are screaming at Curtis Sliwa to withdraw, to quit. He's not quitting. I wouldn't quit if I were Sliwa. He's fighting. And if he did quit, this scumbag would still win. Doesn't matter. And you think that's bad. And it is, because it's New York. But it's going to happen in Minneapolis, too. We're going to have two major cities run by Islamists in 5 days. This is the next mayor of New York, of Minneapolis. By the way, the Minneapolis Democrat Party chose him over that pathetic weakling, Jacob Fry, the guy who fake cried over George Floyd, the guy who signed a law or an executive order allowing the Muslim call of prayer at 3:30 in the morning and at 11 o'clock at night. He suspended the city ordinance to allow Muslims to blast their call of prayer throughout the city in the middle of the night. That guy, Jacob Fry, they rewarded him by kicking his ass out and picking this guy. This guy's going to be mayor of a large American city. Forget the fact that he looks like he's just some mutant inbred who can barely speak English. This is him on the campaign trail, I believe, yesterday in Minneapolis. Check it out.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Somalia. Hiran State. Mawisle. Early voting
that's your next mayor. That's the place where the Vikings and the Twins play. That's Minneapolis with the big mall. This is your mayor waving a Somalia flag saying, "Assalamu alaikum." There's an American flag behind him, but he'd rather, ignore it or burn it. He's mayor of a city. He's saying Somalia. What the hell? What is going on? That is just disturbing, to say the least. They have conquered major American cities. We allowed this. I realize it's part of the plan for Democrats. That was Obama's dream, to fundamentally transform the country. I don't think he's quite succeeded yet, but they're on their way. They have fundamentally transformed major American cities like Minneapolis, hell, smaller cities like Dearborn. Keep in mind, that's part of their religion. They have to get involved. You know, Christians generally hear separation of church and state, this made up thing. And, you know, you don't want to force your religion on anyone. They are obligated to use the state to advance their religious cause. They're obligated. And by the way, they're allowed to lie to advance their religious cause. They're allowed to lie. So if you're Mamdani, you can lie and say you believe that, you know, in LGBTQ rights, you believe in legalizing sex work. He doesn't really believe that, but it's helping him get elected, and that's okay in his religion. That's okay in that guy's religion to lie. And it's working. They're taking over, and it is scary. But you know what else is scary? We got to get to this auto pen scandal, which is just mind-blowing. I know we've said this a lot during the Biden years. This is the biggest scandal in American political history. The cover-up of Joe Biden's condition. We knew it was bad. We laughed about it a lot. We showed you the videos. We played the sound. He was in the throes of dementia for most, if not all, of his 4-year term. He certainly wasn't capable of fulfilling the duties of the office. Hell, he wasn't capable of doing what Donald Trump did the last 3 days. He couldn't do that. He was incapable, physically, mentally. It didn't matter. He had people around him who were controlling the office of the president. We had a small cabal of radicals who took over, knowing, hell, they chose him, they nominated him, they elected him because they knew he was incapacitated. They knew they could control him. That is a massive scandal. I love this. Whoopi Goldberg said yesterday, we shouldn't be going after him because he's done. That's old news. Yeah, because that's the way you looked at it after Trump's first term. You know, he's done. Let's move on. We're not moving on. We can't move on. Thankfully, James Comer and the Oversight Committee have sent a 100-page report to the DOJ asking Pam Bondi to declare all the pardons and commutations null and void. And there were I forget the number, like 4,000 commutations. Yeah, 4,165 commutations, 80 pardons. 44,000. You think Joe Biden had a clue about any of them other than the one he signed for Hunter? Every pardon, every computation of Fauci and Milley and Schiff has to be vacated, null and void, because they were signed by an auto pen. And as Comer said, there's no evidence Joe Biden even knew what he was signing. No evidence. Give me that report. This is amazing. This wasn't a thing that happened in the final few weeks when, you know, you saw this flurry of executive orders and pardons and commutations. Obviously, Joe Biden was out to lunch at that point. Obviously, he was not in control. This happened for 4 years. They point out, the Oversight Committee points out, it started on day 5, January of 2021. These people, these bad actors behind the scenes, were signing things with the auto pen that Joe Biden had no clue about on the 5th day of his presidency. This happened for 4 years. Listen to this.
When the president signs, he communicates his assent and endorsement of the action he takes. The auto pen is a device that signs the president's signature to a document. The Oversight Project, of which I am a board member, has discovered that the Biden White House deployed an auto pen to affix President Biden's signature to pardons, prison commutations, executive orders, and presidential proclamations. The Oversight Project's research has found that the Biden White House first deployed the auto pen to affix President Biden's signature to a proclamation on day 5 of his administration, and that there were at least 3 different auto pen signatures in use throughout President Biden's tenure in the White House. In June 2022, the Biden White House began deploying the auto pen to sign clemency warrants and executive orders. Auto pen use skyrocketed from there. We found that of the 51 clemency warrants issued during the Biden presidency, over half, 32 in total, were signed with an auto pen. And these include some of the most controversial acts of clemency of the Biden presidency, including death row commutations and the preemptive pardons of members of the Biden family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and more that were issued in the final days of the Biden presidency. We reviewed President Biden's schedule and his publicly available media and were unable to find any record of President Biden's personally approving these actions, such as a statement issued by the president himself to reporters.
No record of the president approving these actions. By the way, they commuted, pardoned some of the worst of the worst. Remember the judge who sent kids to prison in Philadelphia because he was getting kickbacks, and some of those kids killed themselves? He pardoned that guy. He pardoned a guy who killed children, a gang guy. They were witnesses. Killed a child in Connecticut, I believe. He pardoned drug dealers, murderers. He took everybody off a death row. And there was no evidence that he knew this was going on. It wasn't what you would expect from good old Joe Biden, because it wasn't Joe Biden. It was the people around him who were just radical lunatics who knew they had a vegetable who could be controlled. You don't think that's a big scandal? It is massive. By the way, one of the people who worked for Biden, this Mike Donnellan character, was a longtime friend of Joe Biden. And they got him to admit under oath that he was paid $4 million to work on the Biden campaign. And if Biden had won, he would have got another $4 million. The other people made like $100,000. One guy, friend of Joe's, got $4 million. You don't think there was 10% for the big guy in that deal, or maybe 20% or half? This is, I mean, it's not a surprise. We know these are some of the scummiest, dirtiest, most corrupt people in Washington. And a whole bunch of them took the fifth, pled the fifth, including his doctor, that weird little midget Kevin O'Connor. He was asked if he was ever asked to lie on behalf of Biden. He took the fifth. So I'm going to take that to be a yes, he lied. He's under investigation. This is just getting started, and it's going to get better. And it's big. It's wild. It's crazy. But all right, before we do have time to do Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, he's everywhere now. He's doing podcasts. He does his own podcast. He's doing everybody. He's all upset because Joe Rogan won't put him on, and he's made fun of him, and he's begging to go on Joe Rogan. His campaign for president has begun. He's in overdrive already. And all I could say is good luck with that, Democrats. He is such sleazy, greasy, smarmy, unctuous character. You want to run that guy? Good. Go for it. Here's the latest from New Hampshire, by the way. Pete Buttigieg is leading the 2028 Democrat field for president in New Hampshire, according to a new poll from UNH. 19% say they will vote for Buttigieg. Newsom came in second with 15%. You have the worst candidates right now, Democrats. You need to find someone, because these guys aren't going to come close to knocking off J.D. Vance. Buttigieg, in one poll among black voters, got 0%. Black voters are not going to vote for him. That's what happened to him in 2020. He ran, he did well in Iowa, New Hampshire, and then he cratered in South Carolina because black voters don't like him. Gavin Newsom has more skeletons, more dirt. His state is a disaster, and he's a liar. Hell, his latest lie is that he played college baseball. He just went to college to play baseball. He didn't. He grew up hard. He was a blue-collar kid. He wasn't. He was a little rich kid. His father handled the business of the Getty family, the billionaires. Getty bankrolled Gavin Newsom's businesses, his winery. He was the ultimate child of privilege, and now he's pretending to be something else. That is the downfall. He thinks he's going to imitate Trump. He tweets like Trump. He's the opposite. Here's what he doesn't understand. Here's what Democrats don't understand. The most appealing thing about Trump is authenticity. Yes, he can be vulgar. He can be crass. He can tweet, posts crazy things, but he is what he is. He doesn't change. He's not a chameleon. He wears a suit with a red tie when he's meeting with, farmers or oil workers. He doesn't put on camouflage and pretend to hunt. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not. And that's all Gavin Newsom does. He's the exact opposite, the least authentic person you will ever see on the political stage. He's the anti-Trump, and not in a good way. He's such a phony. Here he is on the All the Smoke, Up in Smoke, or whatever it's called, podcast, explaining how he, raised himself and he grew up eating Wonder Bread and mac and cheese. It's a total lie. Listen.
It's like the White Stack 5 story.
Come on. Macaroni and cheese.
Are you talking about me?
Young YG.
YG, man.
Every day in the backyard, just bouncing the basketball, throwing the ball against the wall until the ball is just like framed, man. And your arms yourself. That's it. Whole thing. So just, and then, then this student that was shitty student is in the back with his head down, all of a sudden started throwing the baseball a little faster than everyone else. And started, make a few free throws because I was sitting there practicing 500 of them every damn night. And in high school, I look up in the stands, my dad's back up there.
Okay. Dope.
And it's like, man. And then he's bringing his friends and you're captain of the team. And you're like, gee, and it just saved me. And it got me into college.
That's totally made up. Just made up. Again, the least authentic candidate you will ever see. Get ready. Because he's going to be exposed. He has so many skeletons in his closet. He's such a scumbag. And he can talk a good game. He looks good. He's gonna be the leader. He's gonna be the favorite. But get ready, because his whole life, his whole persona that he's carved out is fake. And that's what they don't understand. The appeal is authenticity, and he is the last thing he is authentic. Yeah, I grew up with Wonder Bread and mac and cheese, and I only went to college because I was such a good ball player. It's all a lie. He was 24 years old, and he had a winery because his father paid for it. His father, the Getty guy, paid for it. And that hopefully will all come out, but go for it, Democrats. He's your guy. All right. That will do it for today, October 30th, Thursday, 2 days before the food stamps run out and the riots and the looting begin, and 5 days before we elect Kami Mandami. What a crazy time this is. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
But we must remember, in a time such as this, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.